This story is called I Paid for My Girlfriend's College Tuition for Years, only to discover she was cheating with her ex, and they mocked me. So, I made sure they'd never forget what happened for the rest of their lives. My ultimate revenge. Hello everyone, before we dive into today's video, I need your help. We've noticed the channel's growth slowing down, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can support us. It's quick, free, and helps us keep delivering amazing content. Your support means everything to us. Let's keep growing this channel together. Thanks a lot. Now, let's get started with the video. Hi Reddit, I'm Daniel, 38 years old. For 5 years, I was in a relationship with Mia, 28. From the outside, we appeared to be the perfect couple. We discussed marriage, having kids, and building a life together. But sometimes life throws you unexpected curveballs. 2 years ago, Mia left her stable office job to follow her dream of becoming a medical professional. I fully supported her. I paid all the rent, bills, groceries, and even helped cover her tuition when her savings were depleted. I didn't complain because I loved her, and that's what you do for someone you care about, right? That's what I kept telling myself every time I worked extra hours or skipped treating myself so she could pursue her dreams. I felt good about being the one to provide for her, but over time, the weight of it all became harder to bear. Supporting Mia was more than just financial. I became her biggest cheerleader, her emotional support, and the person she vented to when her classes became too much. At first, it felt rewarding. I'd listen to her stress over exams or demanding professors, always reminding her how capable and brilliant she was. I'd surprise her with little things to make her life easier. A meal ready when she came home, a care package during exam weeks, and once, even a handwritten note hidden in her backpack wishing her luck. But over time, things started to shift. The gratitude I initially received from her began to turn into expectations. The small smiles and thank yous I loved receiving faded away, replaced by a sense of entitlement. Her behavior started to change slowly. Late nights at school turned into library sessions, and then mysterious texts from classmates appeared. I dismissed it at first, telling myself I was overthinking. But then, there were cryptic Instagram stories, selfies, campus photos, and quotes like, "Sometimes you have to lose yourself to find yourself." Who even says that? She had never been this active on social media before, and something felt off, but I chose to ignore it. Love makes you blind, and apparently, stupid. Her increased social media activity wasn't just unusual, it was unsettling. Mia had always valued her privacy, but now she was posting pictures of herself with people I didn't know, with captions like "new beginnings" or "chasing my dreams." It was subtle, but it felt like she was creating an image of herself that didn't include me. I casually asked her about who she was hanging out with or why she was sharing so much online, but her responses were dismissive. "Just classmates," she'd say. Or, "It's just for fun." When I asked about her day, her answers were always vague. I'd see her texting late at night, and she'd just shrug it off, claiming it was just study group stuff. But deep down, I knew those late-night study sessions were starting to feel more like excuses than explanations. I wanted proof before making any accusations, so I stayed quiet. It wasn't just her words that felt off, her actions did too. Mia used to light up when we spent time together. Movie nights, cooking dinner together, or just sitting on the couch, talking about our day. Those moments were the foundation of our relationship, but now she was distant. She'd sit with her phone glued to her hand, laughing at messages I couldn't see. Our conversations felt forced, like she was just going through the motions. One night, I caught her giggling while texting in bed. I asked what was so funny, and she said it was just a meme from a classmate. When I asked to see it, she hesitated before showing me something that seemed too generic to be that amusing. It wasn't much, but it planted a seed of doubt. I started noticing more patterns. Her phone was always on silent, face down when we were together. She'd disappear into the bathroom for longer than usual, phone in hand. And then there were the late nights. She'd tell me she had to stay at the library or meet with her group for a project, but her explanations started to sound rehearsed. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to trust that the woman I had built a life with wouldn't betray me. but the feeling that something was wrong grew stronger every day. Still, I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself I was imagining things because I didn't want to confront the possibility that the woman I loved was lying to me. The breaking point came one evening when I overheard her on the phone. I was in the kitchen, and she was in the living room, speaking in hushed tones. "Yeah, I'll see you later," she said, her voice soft and almost flirtatious. When I walked into the room, she quickly ended the call. "Just a classmate," she explained, her cheeks flushed. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was losing my mind. Was I imagining her pulling away? Was I reading too much into her secrecy, or was there something she wasn't telling me? I decided I needed proof. I wasn't going to accuse her without knowing the truth. If she was hiding something, I'd find out. If she wasn't, I'd confront the insecurities eating away at me. Either way, I needed clarity. Last week, everything fell apart. It started like any other Wednesday morning. I was running late for work and couldn't find my phone. Frustrated, I asked Mia if I could use hers to call it. She handed it over without hesitation, which threw me off. I was expecting panic or some excuse about why she couldn't let me use it. But no, she just handed it over, completely calm. For a moment, I thought I might be overreacting. But as I unlocked her phone, her Instagram messages were still open on the screen. My heart stopped when I saw the top message. "I can't stop thinking about last night. You make me feel things I've never felt before." My chest tightened. I told myself it was a misunderstanding, but curiosity took over. I scrolled up, and each message was like another punch to the gut. It wasn't just flirting, it was explicit. They talked about how much they missed each other and how they couldn't wait to meet again. One message was from just a few nights ago. "You looked so beautiful under the moonlight." The pit in my stomach grew deeper. This wasn't just harmless texting, it was a full-blown affair. And in one of the messages, they were mocking me. Then, I saw his name, Alex, her ex, the one guy she'd always said was a mistake, someone she had no intention of speaking to again. I felt like a fool for years. I had supported her, trusted her, and given her everything I could. And here she was, throwing it all away for some guy. The final blow hit when I saw a picture she had sent him. It was a selfie she'd taken in our bedroom, wearing the pajamas I had bought for her. The caption said, "Something to think about tonight." My head was spinning. All the overtime hours I had worked and every sacrifice I made to help her achieve her dreams suddenly felt pointless. Without saying a word, I handed her phone back to her. She smiled at me, unaware of the storm that was brewing inside me. "Thanks," she said casually. I nodded and left for work, my mind racing. At work, I couldn't focus. I kept replaying the messages in my head. I wanted to confront her right then, but I knew I needed to calm down first. Confronting her out of anger wouldn't solve anything. I needed to think things through. By the time my shift ended, I had a plan. That evening when I got home, Mia was in the kitchen making dinner. She greeted me with a kiss and asked how my day had gone. I forced a smile and muttered something about being tired. She didn't suspect anything. I sat at the table, watching her move around the kitchen, laughing at her own jokes and humming to herself. It sickened me. How could she act so normal when she was hiding things behind my back? That night, as she slept beside me, I made up my mind. This wasn't going to be just a simple breakup. Mia had taken advantage of my love and trust, and she needed to face the consequences of her actions. I was going to make sure of it. I began recalling every suspicious moment from the past few months. The late nights, the vague explanations, the secrecy surrounding her phone. It all made sense now. I wanted to explode, to throw her out of the apartment right then, but I knew that would be too easy. She had betrayed me and disrespected everything I had done for her. I wasn't going to let her walk away without facing the consequences. This wasn't just about ending the relationship. It was about reclaiming my dignity. I spent the rest of the night awake, planning my next move. By morning, I knew exactly what I had to do. The next day, while Mia was at school, I started packing her things. Every piece of clothing, every book, every little item that belonged to her went into boxes. I wasn't reckless about it. I wanted to make sure she couldn't accuse me of breaking or throwing away her things. By the time I was finished, her presence in the apartment had been reduced to a neat stack of boxes by the door. Next, I called a locksmith. I explained the situation, and though the person on the other end of the line hesitated at first, they agreed to come out the following morning. The locks would be changed, and Mia wouldn't be able to get back in without my permission. It felt symbolic, taking control of my space and completely shutting her out. But changing the locks wasn't enough. I needed her to understand the gravity of her betrayal. She had taken my trust, support, and love for granted. Over the next few hours, I went through our shared finances. Rent, groceries, tuition payments. I tallied everything up, and the total was shocking. Seeing it all laid out in front of me made my anger even stronger. She had been living off me for years while sneaking behind my back. I also took the time to gather evidence, screenshots of her messages with Alex, photos she'd sent him, and even timestamps from her so-called study sessions. I saved everything to a flash drive and backed it up on my laptop. If Mia tried to play the victim or twist the story, I'd be ready. That evening, Mia came home, completely unaware of what was waiting for her. She walked through the door, wearing her usual cheery smile, kissed me, and started talking about her day. I could hardly look at her. Every word she said felt like another lie. Finally, I interrupted her. "We need to talk," I said, my voice cold and steady. Her smile faltered. "What's wrong?" she asked, trying to sound concerned. I gestured toward the boxes by the door. "Your stuff is packed. You're not staying here anymore." Mia's eyes widened. "What are you talking about?" she stammered. I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshots of her messages with Alex. "This," I said, holding up the screen for her to see. "And this. And this." I flipped through the images, each one more damning than the last. Her face went pale. "I can explain," she whispered. I laughed bitterly. "Oh, I'd love to hear it. Explain how you were sneaking around with your ex while I was working overtime to support your dreams. Explain how you sent him pictures from our bedroom. Go ahead, Mia. I'm listening." She opened her mouth, but no words came out. For once, she had nothing to say. "That's what I thought," I said. "You need to leave. The locks are being changed tomorrow. Don't come back." Mia tried to argue, beg, and cry, but I didn't budge. She had made her choices, and now she had to face the consequences. By the time she left that night, carrying her boxes to her car, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. This was just the beginning of her fallout. The first step was social media. Mia had created this false image of being a hardworking, ambitious woman chasing her dreams. Her posts were carefully crafted to make her look inspiring, full of motivational quotes and pictures of her studying with a latte in hand. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, she was sneaking around with her ex and living off the man funding her entire life. I wasn't about to let her keep that perfect image. I posted a direct message on my account. People show you their true colors when you least expect it. Imagine supporting someone's dreams only to find out they're meeting with their ex behind your back, using your home and your money. Let's not sugarcoat betrayal. I didn't tag Mia directly, but anyone who knew us, our friends, mutual acquaintances, her classmates, would be able to connect the dots. I attached screenshots of her conversations with Alex, the photos she had sent him, and even a shot of the receipt for her tuition payment. The response was immediate. Comments flooded in. People started DMing me, asking what had happened or expressing their shock. Some tried to defend her, but the evidence was undeniable. Then came the best part. Mia herself commented. "I can't believe you're airing our personal life like this. This is childish and pathetic." I fired back with, "What's pathetic is sneaking around with your ex while pretending to be a victim. What's childish is using someone's money and trust while planning your next betrayal. Own up to your actions." The silence that followed was deafening. Mutual friends who had always been friendly with Mia suddenly started unfollowing her. I heard through the grapevine that Jessica, A girl in her class who had always been competitive with Mia screenshotted my post and shared it with their professors. Academic reputations are fragile, and Mia's was starting to crack. Meanwhile, I wasn't done with Alex either. The guy thought he could waltz back into Mia's life and destroy everything I had built. Wrong. I started digging into his history. It didn't take long to find a pattern: unpaid debts, a series of failed relationships, and stories from mutual acquaintances about how he had lived off others. Anyone who had been in contact with him using a burner account, I sent anonymous messages to people in his social circles, attaching evidence of his lies and debts. It didn't take long before Alex's reputation was ruined, much like Mia's. He lost his job shortly after, something related to showing up drunk one too many times. Perfect. Once Mia left my apartment, I thought it would be over, but I underestimated her entitlement and stupidity. Mia wasn't satisfied with just licking her wounds and moving on. She wanted to paint herself as the victim and make me out to be the bad guy. Unfortunately for her, I was always several steps ahead, and karma was just beginning to kick in. Mia's first move was to go to our mutual friends. She spun a sob story about how I had exaggerated things and humiliated her. She claimed that the messages with Alex were innocent, just old friends catching up, and that I had overreacted due to insecurity. For a moment, it seemed like some of our more gullible friends were buying into it, but then I released the screenshots, the ones with timestamps, the explicit messages, and the selfies she'd sent him from our bedroom. That shut down the sympathy train pretty quickly. Are you seriously still defending her? I texted one friend who tried to stay neutral. Look at the proof. She was cheating on me while I paid her bills and supported her dreams. Do you think that's okay? That was the last time I heard from that particular friend. Others, thankfully, took my side. They knew how much I had sacrificed for Mia and how much she had exploited me. Slowly but surely, the truth spread, and Mia's reputation began to fall apart. Meanwhile, Mia's actions had consequences beyond just our social circle. Remember Jessica, the competitive classmate who always tried to outdo Mia as the teacher's pet? Well, Jessica caught wind of what had happened and wasn't about to let this opportunity slip by. She started sharing the story, first discreetly and then more openly among their classmates and professors. Suddenly, Mia's academic integrity came into question. People began to wonder if her success had been earned or if she had been manipulating others, just like she had manipulated me. Her classmates started avoiding her, and group project invites stopped coming. Although the professors didn't openly accuse her, their shift in attitude was unmistakable. Mia, who had once thrived as the star student, found herself increasingly isolated. Then there was her family. I didn't have to do much to get them involved. They found out on their own. A mutual friend, likely someone fed up with Mia's constant complaining, told her parents about the situation. Mia's dad was furious. From what I heard, he confronted her at home, demanding to know if the rumors were true. When she tried to downplay it, he pulled up the screenshots himself. "You've embarrassed yourself and this family," he reportedly told her. "Daniel worked his ass off for you, and this is how you repay him?" Her mom, who had always babied Mia, tried to defend her, but even she couldn't argue with the evidence. They gave her an ultimatum: shape up or find somewhere else to live. Mia, being the stubborn fool she was, chose to leave. She thought she could rely on Alex to pick up the pieces, but she was in for a rude awakening. It turned out Alex wasn't the knight in shining armor she had hoped for. After losing his job, thanks to some misunderstandings with his employer that may or may not have involved a burner account and a well-timed tip from me, he was in no position to support anyone. The two of them ended up couch surfing at first, but even that didn't last. Their friends grew tired of the drama and freeloading, and soon Mia and Alex were homeless. One evening, I was filling up my car at a gas station when I saw them. They were sitting in a beat-up car parked near the back of the lot, looking absolutely miserable. Mia was scrolling through her phone, looking frustrated, while Alex sat with his head in his hands. They didn't notice me at first, but I made sure they did. I casually walked past their car on my way to the store, making eye contact with Mia through the window. Her face turned bright red, and she quickly looked away. Alex didn't even lift his head. I didn't say a word, just smirked and kept walking. The sight of them sitting there, broken and defeated, was more satisfying than any words could ever express. After that, I heard bits and pieces about their downfall through mutual friends. Mia was working odd jobs, barely scraping by. Alex had tried to find another job, but his reputation and drinking problem kept catching up with him. The two of them were constantly fighting, blaming each other for their situation. "She's a nightmare," one of their former friends told me. "All she does is complain about how hard her life is now, as if she didn't bring it on herself. Good. Let her stew in the mess she created." Meanwhile, my life was on the up. I started going out more, reconnecting with old friends, and focusing on myself. Work was going great, and I even started dating again. It felt amazing to be free from Mia's toxicity and to take back my time and energy for things and people that truly mattered. One day, I got a call from Mia's younger brother, Eric. He'd always been cool with me, and we kept in touch even after everything went down. "Hey man," he said. "Just wanted to let you know, my parents are still pissed at Mia. She's been trying to get back into their good graces, but Dad's not having it. He said she's burned too many bridges." I couldn't help but laugh. "Well, maybe she'll finally learn some accountability." Eric chuckled. "Yeah, maybe. Just thought you'd like to know. Karma's still doing its thing." While I was thriving, Mia and Alex were sinking deeper into their mess. The last I heard, they had been kicked out of the car they were staying in after Alex got into an argument with the owner. Word got around that Alex had finally abandoned Mia, leaving her with no money and nowhere to go. She ended up crashing with a distant relative, someone who didn't know the full extent of her drama. But that arrangement didn't last long either. Mia's entitled behavior and constant complaints were too much for anyone to handle. The final blow came when Jessica, her former classmate, shared an anonymous tip with one of their professors about Mia's unethical behavior during group projects. It led to a formal inquiry, and although nothing could be conclusively proven, the stigma remained. Mia's aspirations of becoming a medical professional were essentially shattered. No one wanted to work with someone whose reputation was stained by deceit and manipulation. Meanwhile, my relationship with my new girlfriend, Emma, continued to grow. She became a steady source of happiness and support, and together, we are building a life free from drama and toxicity. We have trips planned, new hobbies to try, and goals to achieve as a couple. Being with Emma reminds me of what a healthy relationship should feel like. Mia and Alex are now just distant memories, a cautionary tale about what happens when you take advantage of the wrong person. As for me, I'm finally living the life I deserve. One filled with love, respect, and endless opportunities. I couldn't be more grateful for it. Update. Hi Reddit, it's me again. Just when I thought Mia was truly out of my life for good, she somehow managed to claw her way back in. It had been months since I last saw or heard directly from her, but I still heard about her downfall through mutual acquaintances. Each update only reinforced what I already knew. I had dodged a bullet. So imagine my surprise when, one evening, just as I was getting ready to unwind for a peaceful night, there was a knock at my door. I wasn't expecting anyone, and when I opened it, there she was. Mia. She looked nothing like the woman I once knew. Her hair was messy, her clothes were wrinkled, and there were dark circles under her eyes. It was clear she had been struggling, but I wasn't about to feel sorry for her. "What do you want?" I asked, leaning against the doorframe and making no attempt to invite her in. She tried to force tears that weren't quite there, and her lip quivered. "Daniel, I need to talk to you. It's important." I folded my arms. "I don't think we have anything to talk about. Please," she said, her voice cracking. "Just 5 minutes, I swear." I should have slammed the door in her face, but curiosity got the best of me. Reluctantly, I stepped aside and motioned for her to come in. She entered cautiously, as though she knew she didn't belong here anymore, and sat on the edge of the couch, fidgeting with her hands. "What's this about?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral. She hesitated, her eyes darting around the room. I don't know how to say this, but I'm pregnant." I stared at her, expressionless. And why are you telling me this? Her eyes widened, as though the answer should have been obvious. Because it's yours, Daniel. You're the father. I couldn't help but laugh. A deep, humorless sound that filled the room. You really expect me to believe that? After everything? After Alex and God knows who else? Her face turned red. It's not Alex's, I swear. It's yours. I haven't been with anyone else since before we broke up. I raised an eyebrow. You expect me to take your word for it? The same word that meant nothing when you were sneaking around behind my back? Tears started streaming down her face, and this time they looked genuine. Daniel, I know I messed up. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but this isn't about me. It's about the baby. Our baby. I shook my head, my patience running thin. You've got some nerve showing up here, Mia. You think you can just waltz back into my life and drop this bomb expecting me to take responsibility without any proof? That's not how this works. I'll do a paternity test, she said quickly. I'll prove it to you. Please, Daniel, just don't shut me out. I don't have anyone else. And there it was. The real reason she was here. She wasn't trying to make amends or care about the truth. She came because she had burned every other bridge and had no one left to turn to. I was her last hope. I leaned forward, making sure my voice was calm but firm. Let me make something clear, Mia. If, and that's a big if, that child is mine, I'll do what's legally required to support them. But that's it. You and I, we're done. Don't think for a second this changes anything between us. Her shoulders sagged, and for a moment it looked like she might argue. But then she nodded. Okay, she whispered. I understand. Good, I said, standing up and opening the door. Now leave. She looked like she wanted to say more, but she thought better of it and walked out without another word. The following weeks were a blur. I made arrangements for a paternity test, insisting that everything go through official channels. I wasn't about to let Mia manipulate me again or take advantage of me. She complied, probably because she had no other choice. When the results came back, they confirmed what I had suspected all along. I wasn't the father. I sat in my car outside the testing facility, staring at the paper in my hands. A mixture of relief and anger washed over me. She had lied again. Whether she genuinely believed I was the father or was just trying to reel me back in didn't matter. The result was the same. She had tried to use me, and it had spectacularly backfired. I wasted no time confronting her. I called and told her to meet me at a nearby park, a public place where she couldn't cause a scene. When she arrived, I didn't mince words. It's not mine, I said, holding up the test results. Her face went pale. That's not possible, she stammered. There must be a mistake. There's no mistake, I said, my voice cold. You lied to me, Mia. Again. And this time, you thought you could trap me with a fake pregnancy story. What the hell is wrong with you? I wasn't lying, she cried, tears streaming down her face. I thought it was yours, I swear. Save it, I snapped. I don't care what you thought. The fact is, you dragged me into your mess for no reason. Do you have any idea how disgusting that is? She sobbed, her entire body shaking, but I didn't feel a shred of sympathy. This wasn't about her feelings. It was about her blatant disrespect for me and my life. This is the last time you mess with me, Mia, I said, stepping closer to her. I don't want to see you, hear from you, or even hear your name ever again. You're done. Do you understand me? She nodded, her sobs choking her words, but I didn't wait for a response. I turned and walked away, leaving her standing there in the park, a broken shell of the woman who once thought she could control me. That was the last time I saw Mia. True to her word, or maybe out of fear, she never tried to contact me again. Every now and then, I'd hear bits and pieces about her through mutual friends, but it was always the same story. She was still struggling, still blaming everyone else for her problems, and still unable to take responsibility for her actions. As for me, life kept improving. My relationship with Emma grew stronger, my career flourished, and I finally felt at peace, knowing I had taken control of my life. Mia's desperate attempt to manipulate me with the pregnancy had only reinforced what I already knew. I was better off without her, and nothing she could do would ever change that. Sorry for the long post, Reddit, but I just wanted to show you how far Mia's audacity can go. She tried to exploit me until the very end. Thank God I'm not the father. I can't imagine a future kid having a mother like her.